Good afternoon, and welcome to AUSA Now, the Association of United States Army's annual conference. I am retired Sergeant Major of the Army Dan Daly, Vice President for NCO and Soldier Programs here at AUSA. We're very glad you've joined us today and appreciate your continued support. I have the distinct honor of introducing our presenter for this session, the 16th Sergeant Major of the Army, SMA Michael A. Grinston. Sergeant Major of the Army Michael Grinston was sworn in as the 16th Sergeant Major of the Army on August 9th, 2019. SMA Grinston, thank you for joining us today to share your vision and your initiatives for the future. Before I turn the floor over to the SMA, a brief message from the Secretary of the Army, the Honorable Ryan D. McCarthy.
Our NCO Corps is the strongest in the world. It's one of the key characteristics that sets our Army apart from our allies and partners and competitors. Our junior NCOs in particular are the first people our soldiers see in the morning and the last they see at the end of the duty day. They're not just at the point of contact, they're at the point of influence. To our sergeants and staff sergeants, you have an enormous responsibility to take care of America's sons and daughters who raise their right hand to serve. That's what This Is My Squad is all about. We're building on our foundation of strong, cohesive teams throughout the Army. We're starting with you, because trust in our Army starts with you. And no one knows more about this extremely important topic than Sergeant Major of the Army Michael Grinston. SMA, the net is yours.
Well, I could say welcome to AUSA, and this is kind of live virtual event, and this is really exciting for me to be here hosting this event today. I want to talk about our initiatives. I want to do a lot of things today. I actually, before I even say all that, I just want to say thank you to SMA Daily for your hosting this, and a special thanks for the Secretary of the Army, who's been a great supporter of the NCOs and all the initiatives that we have for the NCO Corps and our Army in the last year and a half or year or plus since I've been the Sergeant Major of the Army. So the goal of what we're doing today is, we got to do things virtually, but I also want to be able to interact with everyone. So I remind you all, please go on the website and then post your questions, because at the end we are going to go for questions, and I look forward to those really challenging questions that were troubling us right now. So last year, as I started as the Sergeant Major of the Army, we had our initiative. And what we wanted to do is say, here's where we're going last year. So this year, as my second year, I want to say, here's where we are today, and this is where we're going into the future. So this is, I checked to see how we're doing and how I've done over the last year. The first thing we talked about last year was, this is my squad. This was about ownership, about possession. It was about a cohesive team and how we built that. And that's what we talked about. And then we built on that in this last year. What we said is we want to focus in on leadership in the middle. This is about fit, discipline, and well-trained teams that build cohesive teams. And as you build this, as we think about it, this is about understanding our people. We look at what we're doing with foundational days with Forces Command. This is about listening and understanding. This is about compassion. It's about empathy. It's about showing a positive energy for all our soldiers in the future. Next slide. This is more than about a squad. The squad has to be a term of endearment. This is about not just an infantry squad. It's about everybody. It's about a small team. You can be a member of more than one squad. You have your family. That's a squad. I still say I have the greatest squad in the Army. The Secretary of the Army, the Chief of Staff, and the Vice. and those are the people in my squad. But you have to have a strong faith in your squad leader and your squad members. And the squad has to be the most influential thing that you do every day. But when we focus in on the positive things that we do as a squad, we believe when we focus in on fit, disciplined, well-trained teams as a cohesive team, we're going to drive down all the negatives that happen to us on a daily basis. It will drive down the sexual harassment, the sexual assault. It'll drive down the suicides. It's going to drive down those issues we have with racial inclusion. We don't start with there. We start with the positive, and it's a positive outlook on life that eventually drives down those negatives that we have. But this is more than just a culture or a slogan or something that we're just saying. We actually have some tangible things that we're going to do with our Army. One of those things that we're doing is, this is my squad app, the TIMS app. But I just want to be clear that with an app, it doesn't make us better as leaders. It just enables us as a leader. So we are going to have some technology that makes us better as an organization. But remember, this is about a leader in the middle. But we're going to put something behind that. We're going to have a TIMS app. We're also going to have the TIMS leadership panel. With that panel, what we're going to do is we're going to have 24 staff sergeants that are going to advise me, the Sergeant Major of the Army, on initiatives that we can do better for our squad leaders in the future. We're going to have that kick off in November. But last year, we also talked about, I want to focus in on sergeants, staff sergeants, and sergeant first classes. And then I said, we're going to give stability to our folks. And this is what we've done in the last year. I've said I want 24 months as a staff sergeant, time in service, time in grade. And we're prioritizing that. This is what we've done. We said we're going to move 1,000 NCOs from the generating force into the operating force. And then over the course of the next year, we're going to put 1,000 more NCOs back in our operational force. So we've got an Army strong NCO Corps, but we got to have those NCOs back in the squad. We've also worked on the NCO strategy. As we're looking at the NCO strategy, what we've done is we actually have the NCO strategy. What we had in the beginning was NCO 2020. And this year we revised that. We didn't put a date on it because this is going to be our strategy for the future. It may develop over time, but we didn't need to have a date on it. The first thing we had is we developed the lines of effort. We kind of revamped the lines of effort. Number one is leadership and communication for our NCO strategy. And when you look at This Is My Squad, you can really see when we focus in on the leadership, it was really focusing in on the leadership. And the second piece of that is the communication. When you look at the communication, we think of how do we talk to our folks? Do we know our soldiers? We wanted to make sure that we have leadership right, and then we have to focus in on communication. The second line of effort is operations and training management. When you look at This Is My Squad app, the second thing in there that I asked them to focus in on was training management. How do we develop leaders that can be able to do training management? And we wanted to give them a tool to help them do that. The second line of effort is readiness and operational management. Correction, readiness and program management. So what we're doing is with the program management is really how do you manage some of the programs that we have? We've got a lot of programs, but we have to have a ready force that can manage the things that we do on a daily basis. And the last is the prevention of arms. Our profession of arms is who we are. That's what we're all about. We're professionals. And when you heard, General Bono talk about it, no one is more professional alive. This is our non-commissioned officer corps. So we have an NCO strategy. I encourage everybody to read through it and look at those lines of effort because this is our strategy that's going to take us into the future. The last thing that we're going to have in this effort is SMA Talks. We do these. We've also done some noon reports with AUSA, but we're also doing a YouTube where we come in and we talk about those hard subjects. And what we can do is just sit down. We have a good conversation. So I'd encourage you all to go ahead and tune into those. If you got those hard topics that you want to hear us talk about, please send those requests in to us, and then we'll bring those up. And we're out there, we're talking about those. But those are some of the initiatives that we have, and one of those things is SMA Talks. So now let's talk about training. We talked about one of the lines of effort in the Nco Strategy is training management. We've also looked at what we said. We wanted to focus in on sergeant's time training. We also wanted to do some kind of financial management training and a master's degree program. Some of the things that we really hit home this year was the individual training. We really took off with the expert soldier badge, but we still have a long way to go. We got a lot of units that are doing it, but we have a whole bunch of units that aren't doing expert soldier badge. So I encourage you all to go out and schedule those events if you can. If you're a battalion, you can schedule an expert soldier badge at the battalion level. And I'd ask us all to go out and get with CIMT so that you can schedule your expert soldier badge. We want to master those fundamentals. The secretary and the chief are trying to give us time. It's up to us to use that time so that we build the foundation of all the individual tasks that we're doing so that we can get to the more difficult tasks. We can't get to the more difficult task if our foundation is broke. And we have really put a lot of emphasis on that. The secretary and the chief has given us the time we need to take advantage of it. The second thing that we looked at as we went to the blended retirement system is we didn't have enough financial management training in our professional military education. So this year we put more financial management in our professional military education. We're going to start with BLC. It was already in the advanced individual training and AIT and basic training, but we really didn't have a progressive and sequential financial training from basic leader course all the way to the Sergeant Major's Academy. And this was really important, especially as we go through the blended retirement program. We have to have this. We have to be better with our financial management. If we look at some of the things we talked about in knowing our soldiers, and this is my squad, one of those things that really plague us is our financial literacy. Do we know how to prepare for retirement? Do we know how to prepare for those hard days? Do we have, some way to do that? And that's why it's so important that we actually put financial literacy training in our professional military education. And last, we've got some of the PME, professional military updates on education. And those are the things that we've done in the last year. Some of that is just because of we acknowledge this is an extraordinary time in our country. So we've actually, as we were going forward for our professional military education, we had to change a little bit last year, but we are still moving forward. We have the Order of Merit list. We're revamping on how we put out those Order of Merit lists. We've also revamped this year. Every Sergeant Major is going to get looked at every year. So there's no more, once you make that rank, you're going to be looked at every year to make sure that we're staying qualified in our MOSs and prepare us. And those initiatives we had started a year ago, and those are coming to fruition this year. Next slide. We also, last year, we said we want to align our NCO authority with what we're doing. And I can say this is where one of the big successes is. We worked on this for years to make sure that our NCO authority is lined up. And we got the new AR 600-20 published this year. It's signed. It's out there. It gives the NCO authority to go ahead and take some action. It's about, and what it says is, can you do, simple things as doing some push-ups when a soldier comes late for formation. So a soldier runs up, I said this last year, a soldier comes running up late for formation. Can an NCO tell him to do a few push-ups? So I want to be very clear. This is not about doing push-ups. This is about leaders and NCOs taking action. Your ability to actually do something, not pass it off to the commander, not pass it off to the first sergeant, not pass it off to somebody else. This is about NCOs seeing an issue and then taking some action. Sometimes that action is counseling. Sometimes it may be something else. It may be corrective training. But in this case, the whole point of the correction on the 600/20 is not just to say, hey, I can do some push-ups. This is about your ability to do something when you see something wrong. You don't want to look over your shoulder and say, I can't do this or I can't do that. It's about you having the small reps as a non-commissioned officer in our Army to do something and take some action. And when you get those small reps, when we get to those bigger issues, you'll be comfortable. You'll be able to stop anything that happens because you have those small repetitions that you said, wait a minute, I can take some action. I don't have to wait for the commander. Because sometimes that might be too late. So this is all about an NCO being able to say, I'm going to take some ownership in my squad. I get those small repetitions where I have the ability to take action. And when I do that, I'm going to be a better NCO. But we also, since we're talking about action, last year we said we're going to talk about, we had the Army commitment to overall nutrition. We called it the Action Initiative. And when you think about this is my squad and what we talked about, we said, fit. When you talk about fitness, it's also about nutrition. So Army commitment to overall nutrition is about the nutrition part of the fitness. And I think if we can get the activity right. If we don't get the diet right, we're not going to be as fit as we need to be. And some of the things we've done last year, I'm really proud. It took us, 245 years, but we finally now have a scanner in the DFAC. So when you go in, at long lunch, and they just went out like this week, is that you should be able to go into the DFAC and scan your ID card as you go in the DFAC, so they kind of help you get through. Because a lot of people are saying, I don't want to go to the DFAC. It takes too long. It takes me too long to get to the DFAC. So now you get a scanner. We also have the ability, again, to pay with a credit card. Those haven't actually gone to the dining facilities yet, and this is how we're going to transition to the Warrior restaurants. But we haven't actually got those out, so we're working through some of the surcharges and how that pay is going to look, because some credit cards like the surcharge. But we've got the devices. Now we got to work through DFAS and everything on how we can go to the DFAC and pay with a credit card. So you have no excuse for your squad, depending on what that squad looks like, for you to go in the dining facility, soon to be called the Warrior Restaurant. We'll save you time. You can scan your ID card. You can also go in there and pay with your credit card, your debit card. But we're also looking at how we can make the food better. They've done the revamp the menus. We also have one initiative. We got Robert Irvine. He's going to go up to JBLM. He's going to see how we can take the current products that we have and make a better product. We're going to do that at JBLM. I think we're going to try to do another one later on down the road, maybe at Fort Polk or NBC. So it's not just about access. It's not just about your payment method. It's about getting better quality of food in our dining facilities so that we can be fit, disciplined, and well-trained team. And then someplace you'd be proud to eat with your squad. And speaking of proud places to go, we're looking at our quality of life. Last year, I said, here's the quality of life issues. What the Chief of Staff of the Army said, here's my 5 quality of life issues. And this is where we said we're going to focus. I said I'm going to focus, number 1, is the barracks. And I think I've been true to my word. When I go to your camp, posts, and stations, and your installations, even in this COVID environment, I'm still going to go out to the barracks. We're doing great things with our family housing. we've already put more money. We're going to put more money into that. We're going to talk about that more at the family forum. But we've also put about $9 billion in our barracks. Our goal is by 2030, we're not going to have any Q4 or Q3 barracks in the United States Army. So we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're also going out to the barracks. And I'd ask for every leader and every soldier that's listening to this is that when we redo the barracks, you have to do your part to maintain the barracks. And I would use the analogy of it's like buying a car. I can buy a brand new car, but if I don't change the oil in the car, the engine will still blow up, even though it's a new car. So we still have to go out and maintain our barracks. So we're going to put a lot of money in the barracks to get you new barracks, but I need everybody to maintain the barracks. And I'm going to still go out and visit. One of the things I normally say is, Sergeant Major, the barracks are old. I said, well, my house is old. I looked the other day. I looked and said, where do we live? And, I said, well, what's the first date that somebody occupied that barracks on the planet? It was 1957. So there's a big difference between an old house and a dirty house. So you can have an old house. We got to just make sure that we keep a safe and clean environment for our soldiers, whether that's a brand new place or that's something built in 1957. I'd ask us all to show our soldiers that we care by just saying, hey, let's go check out where you live. If you're a nominative or a sergeant major in the United States Army, it is okay to walk through the barracks. It is okay if something is not right, is demand, not just ask, demand that we fix it. Why are the lights out? Why is this door broken? Why is that? And then demand that somebody go fix it today. Well, why is the refrigerator? Why is the laundry, washer and dryer not working? Why do we wouldn't ask for our families in our house. If I was at home and my washer and dryer didn't work in my house, there would be no way to do my laundry. I would demand that someone come fix that. We have to demand the same thing in our barracks. So we're still working on those quality of life moves with the barracks, but we're also looking at PCS move. It's another it's not at the bottom, but it's also one of those 5 quality of life initiatives that the chief talks about. And we made some great gains in our PCS moves. And now, it used to be when you did a personally procured move, which is better known as a daily move, when you did that personally procured move, that would be paid at, I believe, about 80 or 85%. The good news now, when you do it, we're going to actually pay you 100% of that move. We're also trying to get you so that when the weight of the vehicle is online in this day and age, you don't have to take the empty vehicle all the way to get it weighed. You can just look it up online. It's going to save you mileage to get to the weight, then to drive all the way back to Philadelphia. You can always do that if you really, really, really want to. But you can use your weight ticket on the scale. It's on every vehicle. You can use it off the internet. And we're looking to do the weight tickets, give you 100% of your personally procured move. We've also done some things in the COVID environment to help us out with our PCS. We've hired more inspectors, but to make sure that they come out. They shouldn't be coming out and just going, here's my card. They should actually have a checklist when the inspector comes out and say, okay, are they wearing their PPE? Are they wearing gloves? Did they fix this? Did they do that? And then it's not just, hey, here's my card, call me if you need anything. So we've hired more inspectors to come out, and we've given a checklist to make sure that our PCS go well. I know we're doing better. I believe we're doing better, but I ask you all, if we're not, fill out the surveys. Sometimes you don't fill out the surveys and we're not getting the PCS move feedback that we need. So if you're doing well or you're not doing well, I'd ask you to fill out the survey at the end of your PCS move. But we'll put out more on these quality of life initiatives at the family forum with the secretary and the chief and I at the end of the week. So last year we talked about talent management. We had a lot of things that were going on in the beginning, and a lot I heard when I first came in was, what are the officers doing? What are the officers doing? This is what they're doing. What are we going to do for NCOs? So here's what we're doing on NCOs. We already had started the OML, and I kind of already talked about those initiatives with the Order of Merit list and how that's going to revamp. It's no longer done on time and service, time and grade. It's done by talent, and you're going to be reassessed every year so that you maintain that talent. And it's an OML. So if you're qualified, you'll get promoted. And then they're going to go down the list. If you're not fully qualified and you're number one, well, you're not going to get promoted. You got to be fully qualified. That could be PME qualified. You got to do these things that you're ready. You've taken your distance learning. You've got your education, and you're qualified. And you're ranked ordered from 1 to N. And then if you're qualified, you'll get promoted. And the next year, you're going to have to recompete if you don't get promoted to that next rank. So we've got the we also made some changes in the semi-centralized promotion board. We really wanted to look at how are we doing with our promotion board. And one of those things we asked for is to add more scenarios to that. We've asked for giving us situational questions on our board. So this is going back to this is my squad and knowing our soldiers. You come in, you may say, hey, how did you do with the board? This is also about coming in and say, how many soldiers do you have? And so we put out some new board guidance on that. With the first sergeants, we're going to do the first sergeant talent management assessment. We're going to run a program on that in December. So they're going to come through. We're going to assess first sergeants, and we're not going to bring everybody in to one central location, but we're going to try it on the installation and do an assessment. We're also going to do the sergeant maintenance assessment program, and we'll run a pilot of that in November. So they'll go through assessment. And last but not least, for talent management, we have the assignment satisfaction key, the Enlisted assignment module, so that you're going to be able to go in and say, here's all the assignments that I have for this year, and this is where I would like to go, and you can rank order those. The difference between ASM and the officers is that you won't be able to get an acceptance from the unit. You're going to see the assignments that are open. You're going to be able to rank order where you prioritize, where you would like to go, and then the assignment manager is going to be able to try and get you that 1 through 5 on your request. And the only difference is the unit won't be able to accept you. We're working on that. Our goal is to get unit acceptance, and this is only going to be from staff sergeants to master sergeant on the ASCII. And that's what we're doing for talent management. That's what we've done in the past year, and that's where we're going in the future. Next slide. Okay. In conclusion, I just really want to say how proud I am to be your sergeant major of the Army. We've had a really challenging year, and most of the time I say not everybody gets to be the sergeant major of the Army during a global pandemic. It's an opportunity, and I couldn't be more proud of how our soldiers did in the last year. I couldn't be more proud to be your sergeant major of the Army. And now, without further ado, I'll turn it over.
Thank you, SMA Grinston. It is an honor and a privilege to have you here, and we appreciate you taking the time to share your initiatives. We appreciate your leadership, and I, for one, SMA, am a big fan of the things that you're doing to take care of our soldiers and their families, and we appreciate having both you, the chief, and well, all three of you, and the secretary behind the helm of the United States Army. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on now to something that a lot of soldiers have been waiting for, and that is the announcement of the Best Warrior. The Best Warrior competition dates back to 2002 when Chief of Staff of the Army General Eric Nation and SMA Jack Tilley made the decision to culminate all the NCO and Soldier of the Year competitions across the Army, back to the Army level. In 2009, as part of the year of the non-commissioned officer, Chief of Staff of the Army George W. Casey Jr. and the SMA decided to formally name the trophy presented to the NCO and Soldier of the Year as a way to honor the legacy of Sergeant of the Army Jack Tilley and what this competition does for our Army to enhance self-development and self-study, and to set training standards for our force. As a prelude to the announcement of this year's winners, please watch this short video of the 2020 Best Warrior competition.
Hey, stop, won't stop till we on top. Quick, I think now, coming hot for the #1 spot. Ay, no key, got the game on lock. Ay, big three when I take my shot. Ay, on the rise and we ain't gon' drop on the grind. It's all time. Just watch. If you want it, you can get it. Life is hard, but don't you let it get you down. Go get the crown because our time is never it. You can sing or leave the game. My name will remain. We don't need the thing. You can keep this chain. We broke free, so things won't be the same. Nah, on the mission, gotta get it. Let's work. We were raised on the net. I'm raising my network, but it ain't about the money. Nah, it ain't about the cause. All that matters is the one of who we are. Know that our time is now. Yes, life can get hard, but let it keep you down. Hey, we gotta get it. Gotta go, we gotta get it. Hey, don't forget us. Make it happen and we got we can't let you in. We gotta get it. Gotta get it, gotta get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce this year's Best Warrior Soldier competitors. Representing the United States Army Reserve, Specialist Stanley T. Thompson. Representing Training and Doctrine Command, Specialist Keith E. Howe. Representing Army Material Command, Specialist Francisco A. Gutierrez. Representing the Military District of Washington, Specialist Jonathan McBride. Representing United States Army Forces Command, Specialist Garrett W. Turner. Representing Army Special Operations Command, Specialist Calvin Fonte. Representing United States Army Europe, Specialist Justin M. Rivard. Representing Army Cyber Command, Specialist Genesis Miranda. Representing United States Army Pacific, Specialist Wei Yo. Representing Army Futures Command, Sergeant James B. Akinola. Representing Army National Guard, Corporal Daniel R. DiPolito. And now, the announcement and the answer to the question you've all been waiting for. Who is the Soldier of the Year for America's Army for 2020?
Well, the good news, I didn't actually have to read all those names out, so I really appreciate that. So, and the winner is Sergeant James Akinola on the Army Futures Command. So I know he'd like to be here in person, and, you know, since I was never, you know, the Soldier of the Year for the Army, I finally get to accept this award on your behalf. Congratulations to him and all the Army Futures Command. This is a great opportunity, and we're going to make sure that you get the trophy sent to you. And, you know, just so you know, they can see the future, so maybe that's why he had a leg up. But it's really good that we got an opportunity to do this. Congratulations to him and the whole Army Futures Command team.
Congratulations, Sergeant Akinola. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce this year's Best Warrior NCO competitors. Representing the United States Army Reserve, Staff Sergeant Benjamin L. Latham. Representing Army Futures Command, Staff Sergeant Mayra Rodriguez. Army Special Operations Command, Sergeant First Class Alexander Berger. Representing the Military District of Washington, Sergeant Ethan M. Wooler. Representing United States Army Europe, Staff Sergeant William E. McLean. Representing Army Cyber Command, Sergeant James A. Hustler Jr. Representing United States Army Forces Command, Staff Sergeant Marcus J. Padillo. Representing United States Army Training and Doctrine Command, Staff Sergeant Wayne R. Hartman. Representing United States Army Pacific, Sergeant First Class Daniel S. Toomey. Representing Army Material Command, Staff Sergeant Jason A. Simmons. Representing the Army National Guard, Staff Sergeant Mitchell Schofield. So SMA, who is the non-commissioned officer for America's Army for the year of 2020?
So I'd like to congratulate Sergeant First Class Alexander Berger, United States Army Special Operations Command. So not only do I get to represent, you know, the soldiers, now the NCO Corps, and congratulations to AUSA and Sergeant First Class Berger. outstanding job.
Congratulations to our non-commissioned officer and Soldier of the Year. As a reminder, I would ask you to look to the right side of your screen. Right now, we're going to transition to asking the Sergeant Major questions. If you have a question, please post it, and we'll get to as many questions as we can. Also, as a reminder, if there are questions that the Sergeant Major of the Army can't get to today, we will make sure that the Sergeant Major of the Army's office receives each and every question that you send in. Thank you for your participation. Back to you, Sergeant Major.
Okay.
SMA, our first question is out of Fort Riley from Facebook. Is the Army going to look into an increase in suicide rates?
Yes, we've already started looking into the increase in suicide rates. We really looked at this, and we actually had one of the doctors say, you know, have we had a direct correlation between COVID and our suicide? And they said, well, there is no direct connection between, you know, what we're doing, COVID isolation, or how we've kind of distanced ourselves from us and our soldiers in March. But we actually saw a spike in March. So what we did is we started a life worth living discussion that's led by myself and the Vice Chief of Staff of the Army. And we've met every month for the last few months to see what else can we do to stop, you know, the rise in our suicide rate. And I still think, I fundamentally believe it goes back to, you know, what I was talking about. This is my squad. Do I actually know the people that are around me? Do I know their families? Because with suicide, what we're seeing is the family knows, and then we've had a couple of times where they didn't know who to call. So the family says, hey, there's something going on. There's something going on. Let me call this location or that location. Now, you know, that's what it's important about knowing the people in your squad, by having that ownership, is call the family. Call the family before something bad happens and say, hi, I'm your supervisor of, you know, Dan. I always wanted to be Dan's supervisor anyway, by the way. So, you know, I'm Dan's supervisor. I think he's a great person. He's a great, you know, NCO. And here's my number. If you hear anything, just give me a call. And if you ever need anything, let me know. So, really worried, concerned about how this, you know, the suicide rates are going. We're having a life worth living discussion. But I'd ask us all as NCOs and leaders, officers, warrant officers, DAs, civilians, everybody, to get to know your people. And then don't be afraid to reach out to the families. Don't be afraid to reach out to the friends. Call friends. Just say, hey, you know, I'm their supervisor. I'm really proud to have them on my team. That's one thing I think it's really important to help with our suicide. But we're definitely concerned about it. But we all need to do better with just talking to our people so that we can know them. So if something were to happen, the family knows who to call, and we can also intervene faster. And that's why, to me, it all boils down to having a cohesive team, and this is my squad. If I have that cohesive team, I trust that the leader is there for me, good times and bad. So when I'm having some trouble, I can go to them. And if you can't go to them, there's a lot of resources that we're looking at. You know, you got the chaplain, we got behavioral health specialists. We're looking at how we can, you know, get some virtual behavioral health so they're available even for access, and really getting continuity of care. We also found through our life worth living discussions is that sometimes I was having these issues, and then I moved to another location, and that behavioral health, you know, kind of doesn't go along with me. Why can't we do something? So we're looking at virtual behavioral health so that we don't lose that continuity through a transition. And that's when we're having a lot of issues. You know, and everybody has issues, especially when you transition. You know, where am I going to live? Where are my kids going to go to school? Oh, do I have enough money for this area? And then all those burdens of some of the financials and the transition. So how do we have some continuity through that? So that's how we're looking at it, to do better with our transitions. That's some of the things we're doing for life worth living. But I'd ask us all to really engage with those people around us. And it's not just about the squad leader. This is all of us knowing the people that are sitting right next to us. And I think that's what's going to help us out with the suicides. We can do this. We are going to make 2021 better this year with suicides. But I'm going to need everybody's help with this by engaged leadership, engaged friends, engaged families. So if we do have our folks going down that road, we can pick them back up. And seeing behavioral health is not a bad thing. It's okay. We all have to go there. It feels like, every time I go somewhere, this, behavioral health is still the stigma. It should be. It's okay. If you need help, ask for help. And then for those of leaders, it's okay to talk to your soldiers about these things, these difficult topics. But you got to know your soldiers. I think when you don't know your soldiers, if we can do that better, we're going to see those suicide rates go down.
All right, SMA, the next question is also from Facebook. How will the Army continue to provide ready soldiers and not, quote, soft soldiers if there is no longer a shark attack?
So to define what the shark attack is versus the first 100 yards. So what we had, the definition of a shark attack is what I actually had, probably what all you had, some of you had, for the older folks, is when you came off that cattle car, you had 1,000 drill sergeants yelling at you. And I still give my example with one of my drill sergeant buddies, a great guy. He's retired now, so I won't give his name out. He's sitting there and he's like, we're drill sergeants together. He's yelling at this private and said, range walk, range walk, range walk. And I eventually pulled him aside today. Private doesn't know what you're talking about. It's like, we haven't told him what range walk is. So I think that's where we're going. I don't think we're building soft soldiers. It's like, instead of screaming at them, they go, I don't know what you're talking about. We're gonna bring them in and show them what it means to be on a disciplined, fit, cohesive team. And that first 100 yards, and that's what we're doing at Benning. And I'm excited to go down next week and see some of that. So I don't think we're building soft soldiers. It's just a better way to do it. And then you don't actually confuse anybody by sitting there yelling at them. It's something that they actually don't know what to do.
All right, SMA, one more question from Facebook before we shift over to the AUSA platform. Chris Burks asks, why is the ACFT being pushed back until 2022 and no PT test to validate as a record PT test during this time?
This has given us enough time to actually take the ACFT. When we looked at it about a year and a half ago, or 2 years or 3 years before, I don't think we actually saw a global pandemic coming. So as we got the equipment out, we can get equipment out, but how do we bring people together? And how do we maintain those fitness levels over time? Our gyms closed. We didn't have all the equipment out. We had to figure out how we're going to do this, and we start to see. So we pushed this out, and this is about, again, engaged leaders. You can still maintain a good fitness level if you have good soldiers and good plan. I said that, the pavement is still open. There are many body weight things that you can do to maintain your fitness. But the reason we went to March 22 is to give everybody the opportunity to go ahead. We're going to take it right now. There's no more APFT. It's the test of record. I'm taking mine on Thursday. Normally I would take it with the Best Warrior competition. That's why I took it last year. But it cleared this year. It was virtual. So they took one, but nobody took it right here. So I'm going to take one on Thursday. And that's what everybody should be doing. And it still requires us to take the test. And it's going to help us inform the decision. But the reason we pushed that back was a couple of things: to give everybody a chance to get the equipment out and give us plenty of time to actually go ahead and take all those tests that we have. We don't want to disadvantage any group. And then we go for March 20. But it doesn't negate the fact that you still need to do good, hard physical fitness.
SMA, the next question is from the AUSA chat. Are you looking at developing a system similar to the battalion command Commander Assessment Program for the selection of Command Sergeants Major?
Yes, that's why we're running that prototype in November. We've got 32 sergeant majors that are going to they're actually going to go through the Battalion Commanders Assessment Program. They're going to go through the whole assessment. They're going to go to the board. It's going to be a different board. It's not going to be all officers. It's going to be sergeant majors on that board who have a cognitive and non-cognitive assessment for the sergeant majors. And that's going to inform us. It's going to inform us where we need to do it, the resources that we need. We need to tailor it. So we're going to do that in November. And then we're going to see where do those 32 fall out on the OML, the CSM. And then we're looking to maybe do another prototype or pilot in the spring of next year to see, did we get that right? We get the resources out. Yes, we're doing it. Is it going to be exactly what the officers do? No, because we're different. So we're trying to get our program up. And so that's why I talked about that when I briefed the initiative. We are going to do a prototype of that in November to inform us. But it's coming. So it's coming faster than you think. We're trying to keep momentum, but we're just not there yet to make sure we get the right program.
SMA, next one is on Facebook, and it's more a comment. So for motor transport operators, it's Senior Leader Course Class 21-001, get a shout out from the SMA. Our whole class is watching and discussing your speech.
I think you just got a shout out right there. I think that was it. Good for you. Everybody should be on this thing. So the whole goal is to have all our PME tune into the initiative. This is like I was talking about Nco Strategy. This is our strategy. You should hear about that from the Army as we go through AUSA. I thought this is a good way to do it. But everybody should be tuned in and know about this. There's something that I talked about in the initiative 3. You should start asking the question, hey, how can I do this in my squad? What does that mean to me at my level? What does this mean? With Sergeant Major said, here's NCO authority at 600. Have you read that yet? Well, maybe I haven't. I haven't read that change. You need to go back to that. So shoot out. Thanks for the SLC listening in. But hopefully we have most of our PMEs across the globe listening in.
SMA, the next one is from the AUSA platform. What PME backlog do you foresee from COVID-19 challenges for staff sergeant to sergeant first class?
Well, we signed an ETP because we just couldn't figure out how to get virtual means for ALC for staff sergeants. So we did create a pretty big backlog. But what I'm trying to do is we're also trying to look at how do we do constructive credit. And constructive credit has been in the manual for a long time. But we have some MOSs that don't actually have an ALC, and those are the ones that actually normally get through a constructive credit. I think it's some of the recruiters don't have advanced leadership course, so they're familiar with constructive credit. We're trying to see how we could do constructive credit, but we did create a backlog just from June, July, and August. We did an ETP for ALC for those to get promoted to staff sergeant. If we just went back to normal operations and we didn't let any sergeants to go through, it would take us almost 2022 calendar year to get after the backlog we just created. So looking to expand our classes, we've shortened some of the ALC just a little bit so that we can get another class in there through the year to get after some of the backlog. So we're looking to do constructive credit, we're looking to shorten some of our ALC classes, but we did create a big backlog. So the two are shorten the classes, increase capacity, do constructive credit. And the third thing is I did actually change a little bit of the priorities. So in February, we're going to go back to sergeant promotable as the #1 priority for ALC. So those staff sergeants that were already promoted will actually be the second priority so we can get back to select, train, educate, and promote.
SMA, the next one again from the AUSA platform, the Fire Center of Excellence. Non-Commissioned Officer Academy at Fort Sill asks, what are the steps being taken to assist units with the current leadership challenges going on in the Army, like Fort Hood? What resources are available to junior leaders?
I would say there's a lot. I think it's like so many resources available that we actually, it's almost too much. So we're actually trying to, that's why getting a squad leader app will actually help us narrow down where the resources are. So that's number one. Number two, the biggest one, again, the app doesn't, make up for bad leaders. I want to say, build a better leader as well. And some people don't actually understand when I say that, what I truly mean by it, I want to do more of this, whether that's sexual assault, do more sexual assault classes, do more equal opportunity classes. I think we already have some of those classes available. But do I need to redo the professional military education to build a better leader? And then if I have a better leader, then hopefully I don't need to do more of these classes over here and over there. But that's number one. But what are we really looking at? I think the most important thing that the Secretary and the Chief are talking about is giving us time. And I could say time is the most valuable thing we can give. So Forces Command, and we're looking to implement this Army-wide, that said we're going to do 1 day. It started out at JBLM, Base Lewis McCord. They said we're going to give you 1 day a month to do all your readiness. Call it Readiness Day. It said it's going to be where you get a chance and you actually take the time to get to know your soldiers. And I think that's how we get after some of those things you've seen that have plagued Fort Hood, and some of those things that have plagued basically as an Army. But we need the time, and then once we have the time, we use it wisely. We get to know our soldiers. We do our counseling. We make sure we're up to date on our physical fitness tests. We make sure that we walk through the barracks. Maybe we put on our uniforms to make sure, we've got the, my Army service uniform to be, the Army Green service uniform fits right, and it's all going well. So giving the unit time, 1 day a month, the full day, to go back and relearn some of those things we've done, I think that's the most important thing that we're going to do.
SMA, the next question, will This Is My Squad in any way be integrated with the systems already available, such as IPSA and DTMS?
Yes. We still haven't fully implemented IPSA yet, so I'm not sure exactly. Compo 2 and 3 already have it. So we're still working on the Compo 1. I'm not sure how This Is My Squad is going to be integrated, but the digital training management system, or whatever we call it in the future, is going to be integrated into This Is My Squad app. So the number one priority I asked for them to work on in the app, number one, was sponsorship. It goes back to what I was talking about before. How do you transition? So if I've got an app that helps me, just say, hey, I've got Ortega's come to my unit. He's got a family. He needs a house. He's got kids, so they need to go to school. So if I can get sponsorship and welcome you into my unit, that was the number one priority for This Is My Squad, the This Is My Squad app. The second thing was training management. It's also, one of our lines of effort in the Nco Strategy. So the digital training management would download into the My Squad app. And the goal is to be able to sit out there, I do my PT test, I do a task for my warrior task and battle drills. I can do that, put that in the app, and it gets uploaded in the digital training management system. And that's the goal of the This Is My Squad app. So yes.
All right, the next question is from Facebook, SMA. In regards to the enlisted talent management, is there a component of the plan to address and guide the enlisted leaders of the Army Reserve and the National Guard to stay on par with the active component?
Well, yes, but it's clearly much more difficult to do. How do I, if I've got one battalion maybe over 4 or 5 different states, and how do I bring them in and do an assessment, and where's the location? It's kind of similar to the problem we're having with the first sergeants. So we want to do a first sergeant assessment program, but all the first sergeants don't go to one central location, where the Sergeant Major's Academy, everybody goes pretty much through the Sergeant Major's Academy. So I think for Compo 2 and 3, to do talent management, you're going to have the same challenges we're going to find through first sergeant's talent assessment that we're going to run. And how do you do it? Where's the location? How many resources do you need? And Sergeant Major Stanford and Sergeant Major Lombardo, those organizations, and I think what they're going to be able to do is learn for the active component. As we kind of go through this, they've already asked to be integrated into it. We'll kind of hand that off, and they can see how they're going to work for a battalion that's in 3 or 4 states. And how do they do that? Our talent assessment.
SMA, the next one's from the state platform. Ryan McLean asks, will the new PME financial literacy training teach young leaders how to plan and use government savings programs to send children to college?
Send children to college. Well, I'm not sure it'll be that, specific on how to send children to college financial literacy. I think I've looked at some of the PMIs already, so it just increases some of the awareness of those options that are available with the thrift savings program. And what do I need? Do I need to have more life insurance? Do I need to have an emergency fund? And it may not say, so it's how do you get financial stability and literacy on things you can do, and it may not be that tailored to you as an individual. But we do have in the Army Community Services, we do have programs where you can sit down and say, here's some of the things I need to do. We pay folks on our installations already to help you with these things. You can get some advice and say, here's one of the goals I need. And you sit down with one of those. I think that would be more tailored to how to get my kids to pay for college, as opposed to how do I save money and wealth over time, and that's or how do I not put myself in bad debt over time, and how do I save for retirement? It's in a more general speaking as opposed to saving for college. But you can always use, if you got the 9/11 GI Bill, you can still use the 9/11 GI Bill for your college education. You have a service remaining requirement, I believe, is 6 years. So if you're in the active component, transfer that benefit to your family member.